Right. We left off last time at the end of 1957.
Right,
Y'all had just gotten married.
right. Got November 11th.
Right. I want to back up a little bit.
Okay.
Uh, so you're in the Army. She's a German national.
Right.
What's the procedure for getting married back then? What all did you have to do?
Okay. Once we decide to get married, uh, you have to, and based on your religion,
Right.
you have to go see a chaplain.
Right.
And so I went and seen a chaplain, and it was airborne division. So this guy had been in World War II. Natalia was his name, I believe. Anyway, I go to make an appointment to see the priest, go into his office. He's got secretary call me into his office. He said, "What are you here for?" I said, "I want to get married." He said, "Sit down, stupid." So we talked about marriage, and then he said,
Right.
"Well, I'd like to meet your fiance, the girl you're going to marry." And so we set up a date and time when mom could come, because mom worked in the shoe factory. So it wasn't like she could take off and just go anywhere. So we set up a date and time for her to come in to meet with him. And I don't know how long a period had lapsed before he told me to sit down, stupid. And I come in with mom, and he met mom, and he changed his tune when he met mom. There was a lot of guys marrying women that were older than they were.
Right.
Young guys that were older than they, and there were some issues.
Right.
And a lot of them, I don't know, I don't have statistics, but my guess is a lot of the marriages failed.
Right.
For a variety of reasons. But like I said, at that time I was 18, and mom had just turned 17 when we went in to see the chaplain. And then you'd pass the chaplain, you'd pass getting married.
So did he okay it then?
Yeah, he okayed it. And in Germany, you have to get married by the city, the Standesamt, the city hall.
Right.
So when we decided to get married, we had to have a wedding at the Standesamt, and if we wanted to get married at church, we had to set up a different time to get married in the church. So on both days, we went to the Standesamt probably 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and then we went to the Catholic Church where the priest who had blessed our marriage married us. And that was a little chapel in the middle of the housing area, near a concern called Rieskasern in Augsburg, right. Germany. And then when this is getting a little bit ahead of us, but then when you get ready to go to the United States, you have to get somebody to sponsor you. And that sponsor is going to be liable for any financial issues that you incur while you're in the United States if you can't handle them yourself. My being in the Army didn't qualify for me to be a sponsor of my wife, which just gives you an indication of how much money I was making in the U.S. Army in 1957.
Do you remember what your paycheck was a month?
I was making as a PFC, I was making about $89 a month. And when I got married, we got some housing allowance.
Right.
And I think that was around $100 a month. And then I got rations, which was about $30 a month. So at that period of time, my income was probably around $200 a month. Housing, rations, and my paycheck.
So $2,400 a year.
I actually have a tax return, and I'm not sure what year it is.
Right.
Taxable income, $1,200. This was 1958, 1959, right. in that neighborhood.
Right.
I think it was before I made E4, so it
right.
had to be in 1958, early 1958, 1957, somewhere where I filed my taxes.
Isn't that interesting? You in 1958, 57, you got married. If you wanted to bring your wife to the U.S., you had to have a sponsor.
Right. And
What the hell happened? I mean, what's happened since then?
I'm not sure legally if you do a legal sponsor today,
Right,
if you come in here legally,
right.
I'm not sure that's not still a requirement. I mean, again, just look at society, it's broken.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not sure it can be fixed. And it's just not broken in the United States, it's broken all over the world.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure you can fix it.
What had changed though?
But yeah. Well, my mother's sponsor, my mother and Pete, my stepfather, I
Right.
mean, they both said, yeah, we'll be the sponsors.
So what did Grandma say? What did your mom say about you getting married?
Well, she didn't, I mean, she never, I sort of was an independent guy, Jim, since I was about 13 years old. My dad died, my mother worked.
Right.
I was by myself. I did what I wanted to do. I didn't get in trouble. I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't go to school. And I thought it was a waste of time because I knew most of what they were trying to tell me, or at least I thought I did.
Right.
Um, so she said, "You sure? You want to do this? You absolutely sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." And she supported me. Did what she needed to do. Got the documents that we needed to get married, uh, and be able to sponsor when the time came for us to leave Germany. You know, had it all notarized, and everything you had to do with it at that period of time was all done.
So how about Oma and Opa, mom's mom and dad? How did they feel about that? About you getting married?
Well, they never said anything to me about, don't marry our daughter, you're too young or anything. They may have given your mother hell, but I was always treated okay,
Right.
and accepted as going to be a member of the family. And she had a bunch of aunts. Her mom had 3 sisters, so I met all the aunts except one who was in Australia,
Right.
and they were okay with me. So I don't think there was an issue. And again, if it was an issue with mom's family, it was an issue between mom and her mom and dad. It had nothing to do with me.
So you get married at the end of '57.
We get married. We had a fairly nice sized wedding.
Right.
I invited a bunch of the guys that I'm stationed with. One of the acts and a bunch of Germans. So we're in a guest house. I don't know, maybe 50, 100 people at the wedding. They had a stage there, and all the guys got up, maybe about 20 guys that I was stationed with, got up in a line and opened the curtains of the stage and said, "Jim's family." Of course, we didn't get any film from our wedding.
Right. No pictures or
We got
anything.
none. Had people taking pictures, but nothing ever.
You never got any.
Never got any of them. No.
Tell me about your first apartment.
First apartment we had was in Lakehausen. Wasn't far from where Oma and Opie live. A second floor apartment.
Right.
Had a bedroom, a kitchen. The kitchen was sort of like a living room kitchen.
Right.
So you could sit in there. Again, we didn't spend much time there. I leave early in the morning. She leave early in the morning. We get home in the evening. And a lot of times we'd hang out with her mom and sister and dad, and then, just place to crash.
Said something about here like moving into a house.
That was later. So we had, mom's dad was well known in Lakehausen. He grew up in Lakehausen, so he knew everybody in the place. He found us a house, a standalone house.
Right.
I think it's 3 or 4 bedrooms, just a beautiful house. And we had been in the apartment, the upstairs apartment, maybe for 2-3 months or so.
Right.
And he got it for a great deal. He knew the owners and they wanted to rent it, and they rented it to him for a good deal because he told him he'd make sure that everything was taken care of from a structural point, because that's what he did.
Right.
And they rented to us. A really nice home. But I don't think we didn't stay there long. And the reason we didn't stay there long is because what happened in 1958.
Right. So we know the first part of 1958, you're a truck driver.
I'm a truck driver.
Right.
I mean, I started being a truck driver at the end of 1956. I drive truck I drove truck until the middle of 1958.
Right.
And I was still a truck driver, but my job changed.
Right. So you're married.
I'm married.
And mom's pregnant at some point.
Mom's pregnant.
And so let's go back to the Army stuff.
Okay.
And so what happens?
So now, again, beginning in 1958, just like the end of 1957, I'm driving the truck. I get dispatched every day. I go check my dispatch. I show up for work when I need to be there. We go through the same routine. Alerts once a month. That was 7th Army wide. So that was all of Germany. We'd do alert and go out and to our alert positions. I told you first in Fellbrook is where the 11th Airborne alert position was. We'd go to the airfield and hang out there for several hours and then go back to home base,
Right.
wherever that happened to be. I think it was in July of 1950. I know it was in July of 1958. I go in, it's a Saturday morning. And again, you have all your gear. If you live off base, you have your alert gear at the barracks. And so if you go in and there's an alert and you're going to go do the exercise that we always do for alerts, you have your bag and you grab it and throw it in your truck or your vehicle and take off. And everybody who was going to be part of that alert, the 11th Airborne guys, they had all come, and I had to put the trailer on because they had a bunch of gear they'd throw in the back of the trailer, their alert gear.
Right.
Because the idea was you were going to go away for a while.
Right.
Well, for the 3.5 years that I was in Germany, I didn't go anywhere. I got the middle, so it's 3 years since I got to Germany, almost to the date. And so I go to get my truck, go pick up the guys that I got to go to First and Fellbrook. We get to First and Fellbrook, normally nothing's going on.
Right.
We just go out there and they set up and we, hang out for a while and go back. Airplanes were landing. The airplanes that these guys jumped out of all the time. And they were being issued ammo. And I said, well, there's something going on. And so we're staying out there, and my platoon sergeant comes up and says, you have to go back to Augsburg. You've been transferred.
So you're out in the middle of an exercise,
Right.
And he says, you're being transferred.
You're being transferred.
Right now.
Right now. So I go back to Augsburg, and then there's another trucking. So we were the 518th Trucking Company.
Right.
There's another trucking company. It was 592nd. They supported the same guys we supported.
Right.
So in a trucking company at that time, there were 80 trucks. So it was 160 trucks that supported the battle groups for the 11th Airborne, soon to become the 24th Infantry Division, that were in Augsburg.
Right.
So 160 trucks, probably not a lot of trucks to support that size of an organization. Anyway, I go back and I go to the 592nd Truck Company, and I'm told that we're going to go. We're leaving that night. This is Saturday night. We're leaving. I get back. We're leaving Saturday night, and we leave Saturday night. Now, my new job is I'm not a truck driver. I'm not a primary truck driver anymore. I'm an assistant truck driver. And what was going on was they were staffing this company to the maximum staff that it was TOE that it was supposed to have.
Right.
So they were supposed to have a truck driver and assistant truck driver for every truck. And normally there was only a truck driver.
Right.
So I was there as an assistant truck driver for somebody on a different truck. So I meet the guy that's a truck driver. We put our stuff together. We put our stuff on the truck, and we convoy. We started in the evening. We convoy to Bremerhaven, Germany.
That's the port.
Bremerhaven, Germany is where I landed when I got to Germany.
Right.
I told you it was on a USS Randall.
Right.
Okay, so we get to the port, and we're loading trucks on cargo ships. We're loading our 80 trucks and trailers on cargo ships. We load them on the ship, and we go get on the USS Randall.
Same ship you came over on.
Same ship I came to Germany on. and we're headed. And once we get on and get out to sea, we're told we're going to Beirut, Lebanon. And at that time, the Beirut government, which I think was a Christian government, I don't want to get into religion,
Right.
but they had gone to Dwight Eisenhower, who was president, and said, "We need help defending us from uh, radical Islam." I don't think it was called that in those
Right.
days, but from the Syrians trying to take over Lebanon.
Right.
And Eisenhower agreed. So they sent Marines, and I think the Marines actually had an amphibious landing on the shores of Lebanon, and they flew in. The airborne guys didn't jump; they flew in to the airport in Beirut and dispersed, deployed, because the Marines had taken over the airport.
So how long did it take you to get there?
It took us. Well, it was a 24-hour almost drive and work to get it on the ship, get everything on the ship, and then it was 10 days. It was the same. It took the same amount of time to get from Bremerhaven to Lebanon as it took for me to get from New York to Bremerhaven.
Now you have a wife that's pregnant or with child, or you had the child.
You're born.
I'm born.
You're born the 1st of June.
Okay.
Okay. This is about
July.
This is about 6 weeks later.
Right. Now, did you have a chance to tell Mom before you left?
Mom knew nothing about nothing when I left. She didn't have a clue.
So they didn't say you got 5 minutes to.
No, well, you don't have a cell phone. There's no way for you to call anybody. You're gonna, whenever you get to where you're going, the only way you're going to communicate is you're going to write a letter. Okay, so I'm on my way to Bremerhaven, and the seas were extremely rough in the North Sea.
Right.
So everybody, with a few exceptions, were heaving their guts out on that ship. Everybody was seasick. So the guys who weren't seasick had to clean all this crap up.
That's gross.
So anyway, it was, and we get to Lebanon, and we get off the boat, and we get our trucks, and we go down the highway a little bit, and we find the area where we're gonna have our motor pool. We set up our trucks where we park our trucks, and we bivouac.
Right.
And we were real lucky. Most everybody else was in squad tents. We were in pup tents. And we pitched our pup tents a little different than normal. Normally you have a pup tent, looks like a little triangle in the ground.
Right.
Well, we put a triangle in the back, and then we took the other flap and put, instead of 2 sticks that hold up your tent,
right,
we got 4. And so the tent was always open because it was just warm there.
Right.
And it's 2 guys in the tent, so I was with the driver and I'm the assistant driver, so we pitched the tent together, made a lean-to out of it.
Right.
And of course, you maintenance it, you figure out where you're going to go, you build a shower, you build a mess hall, you dig sumps for latrines, you dig sumps for the mess hall. I mean, it's all the same stuff you did in APO, Virginia.
Right.
And now you're just doing it in a different part of the world. And so we are. We're sitting in Beirut, Lebanon, at maybe 10 miles outside of
how long
outside of Beirut.
How long did you do that?
Call from Augsburg, TX.
So we got there in the middle of July. Again, our job was we were the only trucking company there, so we supported both the Marines and the Army.
Right.
I don't know what happened. I don't recall what happened. We were there about a week. Since I was an assistant truck driver, got to dig a lot of holes.
Right.
But after about a week or 2, when all the holes were dug, I got to be a driver. I don't recall what happened to make me a driver. And so I started driving, supporting these guys. And it was no different than in the Kaserne in Germany.
Right.
You got dispatched every day. You were told where you're supposed to go. You went there, and you picked up whatever, you hauled the equipment. If you're supposed to go to the dock, normally you'd pick up an NCO from whatever unit you were supporting that day. If it was to go load stuff on the truck and deliver it to somewhere, you get that guy, so he would work with you, get the stuff he's supposed to get, and deliver it to wherever we were delivered, or haul troops to wherever we needed to haul them. And so you get up in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, you get back to where you bivouacked. And you did that 7 days a week. We did it.
How long
were
you there?
Well, we stayed. I did that for 6 or 7 weeks. And then again, I get randomly selected, and I get sent to the airport. And my job at the airport is to work with the Air Force and get people, find space available for people who had to leave Beirut, Lebanon, for normally emergency reasons,
right.
But some of it were just people that had to travel back to Germany, especially officers,
right.
field grade officers that had to get back to meet somewhere or get information and maybe bring it back. And so I went there and I would sit there and get how many seats are available, on what aircraft are they available, and then people would come in and sign in for, looking for space to fly back, and you would assign these people. People with emergency leave normally took precedence over everybody else, but every once in a while you'd have some jackass who was going to pull rank on everybody
right.
and get a seat before the guys who are leaving for emergency reasons. Now I'm in Germany. The Army goes and notifies Mom.
You're in Lebanon.
I'm in Lebanon, yeah.
Right.
In Germany. I was in Germany. I'm in Lebanon. The Army goes and notifies Mom where I'm at. And they tell her that she needs to go through these steps so she can be evacuated if necessary to the United States. Right. Mom's not going to the United States. First of all, she thought I abandoned her. I had a kid, I left, and I was gone because she had no idea what happened to me for a week.
Right.
And the next thing they told her, she couldn't live in that house because it's too far away from the concern.
The Army told her.
The Army told her. So she moved back in with her mom and basically, I would say, gave the Army the finger.
Right.
She wasn't going to change anything in her life that she was doing.
Right.
And by that time, I was able to write to her and tell her where I'm at and what's going on. So back to Lebanon. Now, we've lived in pup tents for about 9 or 10 weeks.
Right.
And I'm not sure exactly. I think we were there for 4 months. So we had been there maybe 12 weeks. And we got word that we were going to move to the squad tents that were in the olive groves, where other units had been staying, but they left.
Right.
Well, we were all excited about that. Tore our pup tents down. That's our gear. We have to take it back with us.
Right.
It's our alert gear. We go to the olive gardens, and the olive groves, and we get the squat tents. They're all up. They're all good shape. So we think, man, this is living. And come to find out, the only reason we got to go to the squat tents was to tear them down, pack them up, and take them to the dock, and put our pup tents back up in the olive groves. So that was a hell of a deal. And then I think in late October, we went back to Germany. We did exactly the same thing going back that we did coming over. Put our trucks on a ship, got on the USS Randall. Took 10 days to get back. All this time the seas weren't bad. Nobody got, I mean, people might have got sick, but I didn't.
Not like the other one.
It wasn't like going down there.
Right.
Got off the ship and convoyed back to Augsburg, Germany.
Said November of '58 is when you got back from Lebanon.
Yeah. Okay. So that was, and then, and at that time, again, I'm still a private. and I don't know how this happened, but I get called by the sergeant major. I get the word I'm back, and I'm in limbo. I'm in the 90s, 592nd. Do I go back to the 518th? I don't know. I'm in limbo.
Right.
And so the sergeant major calls me, and I go in. He wants to interview me. For what reason I got interviewed, I still don't know. And he's talking to me and said, "How long have you been in the service?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm right around 3 years. I'm getting up on where I'm going to be in the Army. My enlistment's up. I'm pushing the 3-year mark." And he said, "You're still a PFC?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you got company punishment? You've been in trouble?" I said, "No." And he said, "Well, how did you like to drive the battalion commander?" Hey, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to drive a sedan, not a truck.
Right.
So he brought me in to work. Now I'm in the headquarters. I think it was a 125th Trucking Battalion or something
Right.
was the name of it. And so now I'm in the headquarters. And I could type. I could do a little bit of
Right.
clerical stuff. And so when I wasn't driving the colonel, I was working for the sergeant major. And because I could do a little bit of clerical stuff, I did a lot of stuff for him
Right.
that he wanted done. And he got me promoted to E4. And around that time, Mom said, "Look, I want to come back to Germany. You got to figure out how we're going to do that." And the only way that I could do that was re-enlist in the Army. And I'm not sure.
Well, you're still in Germany at this point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think I said, "Okay, we'll stay in the Army." I think I re-enlisted for 6 years. The first time might have been 3, but I think it was 6.
Meaning, when Mom said, "I want to come back to Germany," meaning if you went to the States, she wanted to come back to Germany to visit.
She wanted an opportunity to come back and live in Germany like we were living as when I was in the military.
Okay,
and be stationed there.
So the way to make that happen was to re-enlist.
The way to make that happen was to re-enlist, and at some point in time get reassigned to Germany.
And so at the end of 58, you re-enlisted?
I re-enlisted, and I think it was 6 years. And at that time, you got a bonus
Right.
if you re-enlisted. And I don't know, I don't remember how much money it was.
Okay.
But
All right.
so, I re-enlisted, and now I'm driving a sedan for the next period of time that's left in 1958.
Right.
And the period of time that went into 1959 before we left Germany, I'm driving a sedan.
Okay. Okay.